It's 7:12 right now. Congresswoman Jill Tokuda is back in Hawaii meeting with constituents this week. She joins us live in studio. And Congresswoman, I just want to start with what's going on in the Middle East. New strikes by Israel and Iran this week. President Trump is considering an attack on Iran. How do you think this needs to play out?
Well, first of all, diplomacy has to be the answer. That has to be the ultimate goal that we are seeking. As you well know, while Trump is tweeting, erratically by the minute, ultimately war powers exist only with Congress. And Congress cannot abdicate that role to a president, ultimately, who has a very, as we know, a bipolar approach to foreign affairs. And diplomacy at the end of the day, keeping our kids safe, our men and women in uniform safe, means that we have to have a steady hand. We have to let negotiations continue. We want diplomacy to be the ultimate answer here.
We've been watching closely what's been going on in Los Angeles with the National Guard, and the U.S. Court of Appeals just said that President Trump does have the right to send in National Guard troops to L.A. Could this happen in Hawaii, and what does this mean for states' rights?
I asked that question of Secretary Hegseth when he came before the Armed Services Committee, because we do know that Trump has a tendency to tell people to literally shoot protesters in the leg. The right to peacefully and civilly protest is part of our Constitution. I've been a part of these protests here in Hawaii. It's absolutely 100% civil and peaceful. It's allowing people to express how they're feeling in this moment in history. To call the National Guard out, especially in the case of Los Angeles and other areas, prematurely is trying to create a chilling, stifling effect, again, on this constitutional right we have as Americans to be able to express a differing opinion from one of the administration.
There's been a lot of concern over President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Where do you stand on it? What does it mean for health care? Well, yeah. And what does it mean for SNAP benefits?
Every person in Hawaii should worry about this bill. When you're cutting close to $1 trillion in Medicaid, $313 billion in SNAP funding, you're literally cutting away people's ability to feed themselves and to care for themselves. It's not just going to hurt Medicaid beneficiaries and SNAP recipients. If Medicaid goes down like this, you'll see rural hospitals in Hawaii and across the country close. If SNAP benefits get constricted in the hundreds of billions of dollars, small little grocery stores, supermarkets will suffer, potentially creating even worse food deserts that we have throughout the islands right now, because they rely on those EBT cards. They rely on those benefits. So if you think of the ripple effect that cutting trillions of dollars in Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP will have, it's going to hurt absolutely every single one of us.
If it's that dire, what can you do about it as part of Congress?
Well, that's why we've been fighting back every step of the way, whether it's in hearings, taking to the floor, doing press conferences, doing shadow hearings. We have to make sure our Republican counterparts understand what they are voting yes on. We need just 4 brave Republicans in the House to vote no and say there's another path forward. There's an alternative. It's a false choice to say it's only one way, the big, ugly bill or nothing. We absolutely can look at how we can reduce some functions of government, perhaps in defense, perhaps in homeland security, where if you realize they're increasing that by billions on billions of dollars, while at the same time cutting back benefits for vulnerable working families here in Hawaii and throughout the country. There is a choice. We need them to move in that direction with us.
We also mentioned that while you're here, you've been meeting with a lot of people. What have you been up to?
Yesterday I was in Hilo and doing a cow for keiki food distribution. I'm going to be on Maui just in a few hours, blessing their Uncle Mana bus, which is literally going to take food to people throughout the county. I've been meeting with Job Corps alumni, literally in tears. As you know, Job Corps has a 1-week reprieve from the courts, but the Trump administration has cut them completely. This is about opportunities. This is about hope, whether it's a food basket or a job training. I've been talking to the people on the front lines, real beneficiaries. This is why I go back next week and I fight.
All right, Representative Jill Tokuda, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you.